Dan the Wheelman here in the mint green and white of the Hammarby IF Dusvelbund. Apologies to any of my Swedish viewers for the pronunciation there, but it's the Hammartown Sea City Football Club there, based in Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm wearing this today because I'm driving a car also from Sweden, the 2020 Volvo XC60 T8 Polestar engineered crossover. So please come along for a ride. Man, I love Volvo seats. These aren't just seats. These are proper chairs. They're seem to be adjustable a million ways. You got the adjustable thigh guard here, or the thigh support here as well. Super comfortable place to sit. They are a little tilted back for my liking though. No matter how many times I'm trying to adjust, I'm either too far forward or too far back, so I have to be able to get that angle just right. But otherwise, pretty roomy in here. I have a bit of headroom issues because of that sunroof. I'd probably want to take this hat off. I was driving for a long period of time, but I got a great view out over the hood here. Steering wheel tilts and telescopes, as we can see. There we go, which is great. Actually, that's almost too much. There we go. And I love the look of stuff in here too. We'll have a look at the detailing more with dash shot later on, but this is it's a comfortable place for the driver. The seat is, I can feel like I could sit in this seat for absolutely ever. It will just take some getting used to the bottom cushion angle, that's all. But nice in here, real nice. I have this seat quite far back for a taller driver, quite far back on its rails, but I still got room for my knees. Could still reach the storage pocket here, no problem. And the headroom, as you can see, is awesome. I can wear my hat back here, no problem. More so than I can up front, actually. This is really nice back here. I love it. Plus this big, huge moonroof or panoramic roof gets nice and light into the back seat as well. Seats are nice and cushy, not quite as supportive as they are up front, but still finished in nice leather with contrasting white stitching. Plus I love those yellow seat belts. Got the armrest here, nice flush mounted storage area, I guess, for your mobile device. And you've got cup holders here too if you want it. No USB ports back here though for backseat passengers, which is too bad. I would like to have seen that, but I do have a heated seat to 3 levels back here, which is nice. So does this person right here, and these great Bowers and Wilkins speakers here, these nice tweeters. So it's really nice back here. What about flipping the seats? Well, very easy to do. Just flip this tab on the shoulder here. Headrest comes down. For some reason, that headrest comes down too, which I find that kind of weird. And there you go. Pretty flat load floor, no problem. Done with one movement, which I rather like. So getting long items in here shouldn't be a problem at all. So as has become expected from Volvos these days, really nice interior. Great detailing at the chrome bezel here, some nice kind of brushed aluminum look here. The Bowers & Wilkins speaker up here is one of my favorite details in luxury vehicles these days. Digital gauge cluster, which is nice. Not that modifiable, but still nice to have, and you can change kind of what's displayed in the center there. Paddle shifters, good seating position we talked about before. This shift lever though, man, I have trouble with it. It seems like every time I get in this car, it's not giving me reverse when I want it or drive when I want it. Drive, you got to pull back twice to activate. Reverse, you got to push up to activate. I seem to never be able to get it right. It always takes me kind of a couple of tries, which I find kind of frustrating. And I'm also not so sure about this start-stop kind of knob here. It's kind of a toggle switch, and it seems a little bit finicky. I'm worried it might break, but no big deal. No big deal otherwise. Really nice up here. This display is awesome. It's like this. It's vertical, as you can see. It's like the size of kind of a standard iPad, but you can't get the whole Apple CarPlay on here. You'd think with this alignment, you'd be able to, but my guess is that since most vehicles have a horizontal display, with the exception of Volvos and I guess the new Ford Explorer and a couple others, most have a horizontal display, so the app designers are designing their apps to fit kind of the more universally across more kind of platforms. So that's why you don't have the whole screen being taken up here. But the advantage of that is you can access other parts of the vehicle right from here. You don't have to kind of close out of Apple CarPlay and so on. What I don't love about this though, and same with a lot of Volvos, is this screen here. This screen here is where you activate all your kind of park assist systems, your drive assist systems, cruise control, and it's so text heavy and very small, the text, that it can be hard to find what you're doing. I guess eventually you'd kind of memorize it, you kind of know what's where, but this is some of the stuff you want to do while you're driving, and it can be a little bit tough, so I'm not a huge fan of that. Sound system is great though. That Bowers & Wilkins audio is fantastic, and I love how you can kind of see the yellow speaker through the grills, which is that kind of a really cool premium look. So really nice up here. I love Volvo's interiors these days. I mean, even stuff like this, like how cool is that aluminum kind of like finish they have on there? It's kind of reflected, hard to see here, but man, they know what they're doing when it comes to interiors, these guys, that's for sure. So, as is to be expected with hybrids and plug-in with this, which drive mode you're in depends on which aspects of the system get more use, whether it be your gas motor, your EV motor, or a combination of both. The Volvo XC90 T8 Polestar has a bunch. We'll start with constant all-wheel drive, which, as you'll see in a minute here, basically means both your gas engine and your EV motor on the back axle have to be operational, because the only way you get all-wheel drive in this vehicle is if you use the EV motor, because there's no drive line from the gas engine to the rear axle. So the only way you get all four wheels working is if you use the EV motor to power the rear ones. And as you see when I hit the accelerator, you see that the power goes from the battery there to the rear wheels and rear axle. So there's that one. Pure is basically the closest thing you're going to get here to like an EV mode. And this is the mode you want to be in when you're in traffic, in rush hour or downtown. It relies mainly on the EV motor to give you any kind of motive force. Even when I hit the accelerator here like I just did, it still keeps the EV motor in play. It does not activate that gas engine, so it's your most fuel efficient way of driving, but you spend more EV range because of it. Hybrid mode is kind of as it sounds. In this mode, the gas engine is much keener to kind of activate. So now when I hit the throttle, you'll see that's the exact same throttle input as before, but now as you can see, the gas motor is operating to power the front wheels. So there's your hybrid mode. Then you've got Polestar Engineered, which they're also individuals that you kind of modify all these things to by yourself. Then you've got Polestar Engineered, which is basically like all hands on deck. It activates all the power sources to give you the quickest speed down the road as possible, which is kind of it's the performance mode really, and only the Polestar vehicles get it. So that's really cool. But one of my favorite features actually when it comes to the XC60 T8's hybrid system is these two buttons up here. Tough to see on the camera. The one on the top left here says hold, and the one in the middle on the top here says charge. When you hit charge, it basically relies fully on the gas engine to charge the battery. So if you don't have access to a plug-in, for example, and you're going to need some EV power later in your drive, you hit charge to charge that EV battery. And then once you've charged it up, but you don't want to use the EV power just yet. Oh, I should mention, from 0 to about, I'd say almost 4/5 full here, which is kind of the max charge you usually can get out of the XC60. It's taken me about 40 kilometers of city driving in charge mode to get it from 0 charge to, like I said, what is that now? Probably about 95% or something like that. And that's great, but it has obviously caused a hit to my fuel economy. At the beginning of this test, I was at 8.3 liters per 100 kilometers, and now I'm at 9.4 liters per 100 kilometers. So you see where it kind of affects you there. So but once you've charged it, maybe you're not ready to use your EV power yet. Maybe you're still on the highway where the gas engine is at its most efficient, and the EV power would kind of be wasted if you were to use it. If that's the case, you hit hold button here, battery level sustained for later use, it says. And then once you hit that, it maintains your charge so that when you get into town, you're into traffic, and you want to shut the gas engine off to save fuel, you can release hold and then activate pure mode in the drive modes here, and you've got EV motoring. So it's actually some really, really cool tech. By all rights, the driving enthusiast or elitist or snob in me shouldn't like the XC60 T8PE. For starters, it's a CUV, and while more and more manufacturers are building performance CUVs and SUVs these days, I don't care how powerful your CUV is, how your SUV looks. When it comes to the drive, I'm taking a car any day of the week. Strike 2 is it's a hybrid, and while more and more supercars and hypercars and even race cars are getting the hybrid treatment these days, that doesn't necessarily speak driver's car to me. Performance study to be sure, or tech study to be sure, but not necessarily driver's car. For me, the ideal drive is a crisp Sunday morning with a big V8 or maybe a twin turbo V6 slung out ahead of me, shift lever for a manual transmission in my right hand, and my drive at the back. But that's me. Thirdly, it's a Volvo. Volvo has been building the kinds of cars that crazy car nerds or enthusiasts like myself have loved for years. Station wagons. We love how they look. We love how they're practical yet still fun to drive. We think the Volvo V70 wagon touring car of the late 90s is like the coolest race car ever. We love these things, and the XC60 is of an ilk that is pushing the station wagon to the brink of extinction in North America these last few years. It's like the anti-Volvo that way. So while that is strike 3, the back catcher must have dropped the ball, because this is not a strikeout. For starters, there's the looks. This thing looks awesome. Even in this white paint, it's edgy. There's some great detailing. Those wheels are 22 inches and they look awesome. And they have to be that big because the brake discs and calipers that they shroud are huge. And the calipers are painted gold, which is actually really, really cool. It looks awesome. It's squat and muscular, and I love it. I was inside. I got this great big, the sunroof, which is nice and airy. Good tech system in here. Nice seats. These cool, kind of gold seat belt. Has another Polestar edition or Polestar exclusive. This is a cool looking car, and that powertrain is no joke. Yes, it starts with a 2-liter 4-cylinder motor, but that motor gets turbocharged and supercharged. And there's an EV motor on the back axle for your all-wheel drive system. There's no drive line from the engine to the rear wheels, just the EV motor on the back axle. So this is like a tri-charge or tri-powered car, and it's really cool. It's good for 414 horsepower and 495 pound-feet of torque. When you put your foot down, woo-wee, you better hold on, because this will push you into the back of your seat. This is a quick car. Should be said though that if you decide to lock out the EV motor and rely only on the gas engine, which you can do if you want to save your EV power till later, for example, when the gas engine comes online, it is a little bit harsh. It's got a lot of weight to haul around. It's a small little 2-liter, so it does make itself heard for sure, so keep that in mind. Handles well too. Great responsive steering, lane changes, no problem going through this turn. Is great, keep it balanced, not constantly adjusting all the way through. Not a lot of steering feel through the wheel, but kind of a lot of Volvos are guilty of that these days, and I can't really hold it against the XC60, but you just have to know that you will get a response when you put your inputs in. This is a quick steering rack. So fast so that when I took it on one of my favorite driving roads, which you'll see the clips of later on, I was really surprised by how apt it was in that condition. Of course, when it comes to handling, it's not just about the steering, you need a good chassis setup as well. The PE version gets special tuned Öhlins dampers and shocks It gets the wheels, like I mentioned, those huge brakes, and you can actually adjust the dampers by twisting some dials mounted in the engine bay. Now, I wouldn't do it before you kind of speak with your Volvo dealer, but once you learn how to do it right, the only tools you'll need to do it are an index finger and a thumb, because just twist some dials. That's actually really, really cool. So body roll is kept nicely in check. So is squat under acceleration or dive under braking. Like, this is a really, really well-honed performance crossover for sure. But you will get a trade-off though, and in town, this is a very firm, almost harsh riding vehicle. You feel the sunken manhole covers, you feel the train tracks, you feel the paint on the crosswalk. Like, this is a firm riding car to the point where it's almost not becoming of its $90,000 price tag, which is what it has. That's a luxury price tag, and the ride is not fully becoming of a luxury crossover, not at the Polestar engineered level. That being said, you can get the hybrid powertrain actually in a non-Polestar engineered version of the XC60, which is great. My friend has one of those. He loves it. Rides well, it's efficient, it's a bit softer. But when you've got those tuned dampers and those huge wheels, which also make for some very low profile tires, and as you might know, your tire is kind of part of your suspension, because that rubber, it absorbs the bumps that the road throws at you. When you've got such a low profile, it gets a lot harder, and so the ride is harsher as a result. So it is a harsh ride for sure. But it's definitely a proper performance crossover. Now, I've driven the V60 wagon, Polestar engineered. That's basically the same engineering as this, but the wagon, station wagon version. And I also drove the V60cc or cross-country kind of twin of that vehicle around the same time. And even though that car had less power, it's just a 2-liter turbo motor, no special hybrid gizmos in like that, I think I found it easier to like the V60 Polestar because it's a little more honest, a little more transparent in its intentions with its kind of plastic cladding around the wheel wells and rocker panels, slightly higher ride height. It's like a car that, move my family well, look good with a roof box on, and like we're good to go here. The V60 Polestar engineered was a little tougher to identify with. You're not sure, is it a performance sedan? Well, sedan is the X60. Performance sedan or wagon? Is it a luxury EV cruiser? What was it? A little bit harder to identify, it was a little bit harder to like as a result. Now, I don't find the XC60 suffers quite the same fate. With the XC60, it's a crossover. You kind of accept that it's going to be good to move the family and stuff like that. Although, that being said, there isn't actually all that much more room in this than there is in the wagon. In fact, there's less cargo space in this, I believe, with the rear seats up than there is in the wagon, which is kind of an ironic, slice of irony there. But anyway, you kind of know what's going to do. You're still going to get the nice tall ride height and the tall roof and stuff like that with the crossover. You know that, but when you add the you add the Polestar engineering kind of, elements to it, it really adds a cool element to this vehicle that doesn't water down its intentions quite as much as it does with the V60. It's a very good performance crossover. Would I have it over the wagon? No, I would not have it over the wagon. I still like the wagon's lower center of gravity for lower body roll. I like it looks better. It's more fun to drive. I still like it, but that's not to say this is a bad crossover. This is a really, really good effort when it comes to a performance crossover. They've really done that well. But just keep in mind all the, with this being the performance version, you do have some shortcomings there too. But still, really, really good effort on the part of Volvo with this here. So thanks for tuning into this review. If you're not already subscribing to my YouTube channel, please do. If not, no hard feelings. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dan the Wheelman and on Instagram at Dan the Wheelman as well. Please tune in next week when I'm in a utility vehicle of a slightly different sort. I'm not going to give it away here. You have to tune in to find out, but I am looking forward to it. So until then, adios, folks.